state of Illinois wrapping up counting of ballots last Tuesday, and that's after 2 weeks. The election was November 5th. You had a whole bunch of mail-in ballots that were still making its way into local elections officials, and state law allows them to count those ballots up to 14 days after the election if it's postmarked, and there's some controversy as to whether that's the case. Regardless, Illinois has been sued to stop doing that. And in federal elections, you've got groups like Judicial Watch that are leading these lawsuits. Welcome into Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be with us each morning as we break down things for you to better understand to start your morning. So we had the election, of course, November 5th, and Illinois allows for mail-in ballots to be counted up to 14 days after the election. Federal law, some argue, is only allowing for election day. If you go to Judicial Watch's website, you'll see where they have some of the latest that they're undertaking. It says Judicial Watch announced and filed a petition for writ to the U.S. Supreme Court, challenging the decision of the U.S. Court of Appeals of the Seventh Circuit in the case on behalf of Congressman Mike Bost and 2 presidential electors from Illinois to prevent state officials from extending Election Day 14 days beyond the date established by federal law. The lawsuit filed May 25th, 2022. All right, federal law defines Election Day as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of every even-numbered year. The initial complaint states, despite Congress's clear statement regarding a single election day, National Election Day, Illinois has expanded Election Day by extending by 14 days the date for receipt and counting of vote-by-mail ballots. The Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit just ruled in another Judicial Watch lawsuit, which was filed on behalf of the Libertarian Party of Mississippi, that counting ballots received after Election Day is unlawful. So you've got 2 different federal appeals court districts ruling 2 different ways. In Illinois, the district court sided with the states, and then the appeals court sided with the state, saying that Bost didn't have standing and dismissed his lawsuit. He was challenging the 14 days. Down in Mississippi, Judicial Watch handling a lawsuit there for the Libertarian Party of Mississippi, where a district court sided with the plaintiffs, saying that you can't count ballots up to 5 days. So you've got separate outcomes here. This is clearly making it ripe to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. So in their filing to the U.S. Supreme Court, they say, for 130 years, this court's held claims brought by federal candidates challenging states' time, place, or manner regulations affecting their federal elections. Until recently, it was axiomatic that candidates had standing to challenge these regulations. Indeed, it's hard to imagine anyone who has more of a particularized injury than the candidate has. That is because a candidate who pours money and sweat into a campaign, who spends time away from her job and family to traverse the campaign trail, and who puts her name on the ballot has an undeniable, different, and more particularized interest in the lawfulness of elections than some random voter. So clearly, this is something else we'll have to watch. Let's actually, you know what? We had that pulled up. Let's see if we can find this particular docket on the U.S. Supreme Court's order page. Let's see if we can pull up Bost. There's a Boston case that they reference, but nothing from Bost. Illinois. There is a Scott Armian v. Illinois that is being denied, so I'm not sure about that case. But it doesn't look like the challenge that Judicial Watch has brought to the U.S. Supreme Court's been picked up, at least on their order list that was released this morning, literally 8 minutes ago. But here's Tom Fenton from Judicial Watch talking a bit about this case and the significance of it.
Huge Judicial Watch victory for the rule of law on elections. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals just ruled an hour or so ago that counting ballots that arrive days after Election Day is contrary to federal law, preempted by federal law. Mississippi counts ballots that arrive up to 5 days after Election Day. Judicial Watch challenged that in court, and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals essentially said Judicial Watch is right. This is an historic victory for the rule of law. Too many states count ballots that arrive after Election Day. It's quite obviously contrary to the very notion of having an election day. It invites voter fraud and undermines voter confidence. Hopefully this victory is just the beginning and we can get back to election day across the nation.
So no more election week or election month in some cases, because some people are concerned about early voting and how that might impact things. So something we'll be watching as Illinois law gets challenged in federal court, and you can stay up with the headlines at thecentersquare.com. Get the podcast where you get podcasts, and don't forget to wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily.